Hello children, I'm just back with a new video, and in this video we're just going to discuss about, children, that we're just learning from chapter number 3, and the topics that will be discussed today. The first one, the aspirations of the common people of Europe after 1815. Number 2, we will discuss about the July Revolution of 1830. We'll just also come to know the echoes of July Revolution, that can also be termed as the consequences or the impacts of the July Revolution of 1830. Next, we'll just come to know about the February Revolution of France in the year of 1848 and the consequences. And the last and the foremost important topic that we just gonna discuss today, that is Raja Ram Mohan Roy and the July Revolution of France of 1830. So these four main topics we're just going to discuss today. So this is my recommendation. Don't just skip the video, watch till the end, and after the completion of this video, if you're having any doubts, any question, any query, just straightly go to the comment section and write your question, that to be just answered by me. I will surely just get back to you. So let's get started by not wasting the time. So we were discussing about the Metternich system, and we have just come to know that Prince Metternich, the Chancellor of Austria, he had an intention to just restore the monarchical government and the monarchical power or the administration, not only in a particular country but in the whole of Europe. His intention was so clear to all the countries and the leaders of the countries that the monarchical system of government is best for the business, and for that reason the monarchical government and administration should be reinstalled after 1815. You children know it very well that what was happened before 1815, before sending Napoleon Bonaparte in St. Helena Island. What has happened? As because after 1794, especially in the year of 1799, when Napoleon Bonaparte, he became the first consul, when he had just conquered the power, when he had just ascended the throne, the French throne, and finally when he became the emperor of France in the year of 1804, he had just reshaped, he had given a shape of the European continent in his own way, that should be just reshaped after 1815. And for that reason, what was happened in the city of Austria, obviously that was Vienna, a settlement, a conference and a congress was just held, organized by the different countries, and finally it was decided that the monarchical government again should be just restored in the European continent. This was the intention, and they were just very close to do so. But the fact is that the leaders of the different countries, they wanted to just restore the lost prestige, glory and all these things of the monarchs of the different countries. But what did the common peoples or the citizens of the European continent, they think the priority should be given first for them, and for that reason there a conflict arose between the two different ideals. The first one is called the nationalist ideas or the nationalistic ideas, and number two, this was the despotic ideas. So nationalist ideas versus the despotic ideas, a rivalry just broke out. Two different type of ideologies became very much important or prominent during that time. The common peoples, they sought to think that what they had wedded, they had just tasted earlier from the French Revolution, number two from the Napoleonic Empire, and the three basic cries or the objectives of the French Revolution: equality, liberty and fraternity, as because they had already tasted all these things. So that's why they wanted to just taste it in future also. But you know children that Metternich, as because he was the main principal leader of the Vienna Congress, he wanted to just restore the power of the monarchs in the different countries. So that's why in a different place, in a different region, the peoples of the city or the citizens of Europe, they were landed where the cries of the French Revolution became so far for them that could not be just touched by the common peoples during that time, and that created a biggest problem in the European continent. Not only this was the problem of France anymore, so the problem arose from the sphere of France to the different areas, to the different regions of the European continent, and the problem just began since that time. Two different type of ideologies became very much popular during the French Revolution, even during the Napoleonic era. I mean, from 1799 to 1815. Someone says that it was 1804 to 1815, as because in the year of 1804 Napoleon became the emperor. He just considered, he proclaimed himself as the emperor of France. But the fact is that the revolution was ongoing. It did not just come to an end. The revolution was an ongoing fact. If you think, children, that the revolution that broke out on 14th of July in the year of 1789 with the storming of the Bastille fortress, you will be wrong. You are just living in your illusion. The revolution did not come to an end, neither with the execution of Louis XVI, nor it came to an end in the year of 28th of July 1794 with the execution of Maximilien Robespierre. Actually, the revolution was still going on. Finally, the people, they were not happy yet. They were not very much satisfied with Napoleon Bonaparte also, as because from the Napoleonic code, from the Napoleonic administration, from the Napoleonic venture, we have just come to know that the liberty, equality, fraternity, these three different ideologies were not fully connected to the minds of the French people. They could not just taste all these three different ideologies for what they had worked very hard, they had cried for a long span of time. So that's why we can say, children, that in the year of 1815, when Napoleon Bonaparte, he was sent to the St. Helena Island in the year of 1815, the revolution did not come to an end. Moreover, we can say that again the peoples of France, they were getting ready to just enhance, to just performance for the emergence of another revolution. So that's why the revolution, I mean the February Revolution of 1848, that can be termed as the Second French Revolution. The French historians and the historians from the different side, different parts of the world, they have termed that 1848's February Revolution can be uttered, can be just termed as the Second French Revolution. Why so? I'm just coming to the point shortly. Just watch the video till the end. Now I'm just going to discuss that what were the causes of the July Revolution of 1830. So as in, I have already told you, children, the common peoples were not very happy yet, whereas the main intention, the main objective or the main motto of the Vienna Congress and their leaders to just restore the power, the prestige and the vanity of the monarchical government, the monarchs in their respective post. You know, children, that when after the completion of the Vienna Note or the Vienna Conference in the year of 1815, Louis XVIII, by adopting, by just implementing the policy of legitimacy. What is the policy of legitimacy? The policy of legitimacy means, suppose you are just going to claim something for your betterment. Suppose you are just going to claim anything from the existing government, from the contemporary government. You want to just sit at that particular place. For that reason, that should be justified. The justification should be there. The logics behind that, it should be there. And by which the logic and the proper justification, if you just get back your right spontaneously, this can be termed as legitimacy. As in, not Napoleon Bonaparte, Maximilien Robespierre, they did not have any blood relation with Louis XVI, who was guillotined in the year of 1793. So they were not the actual heirs of heirs of the Louis XVI. Instead, it should be Louis XVII. Most of you may think, sir, who was Louis XVII? As because we don't know, we hardly know anything about Louis XVII. It's not mentioned in your book also. It can just make you so much confused that after the execution of Louis XVI, initially by hereditary process or system, Louis XVII should sit on the throne. This is the thing. But we can see that Louis XVII was not there. After the execution of Louis XVI, who sat on the throne? After Napoleon Bonaparte also, in the year of 1815, it was Louis XVIII who sat the throne, who had ascended the throne in the year of 1815. Now the question arises that where is Louis XVII? As per to the hierarchical policy or the hereditary policy, Louis XVII was the son of Louis XVI. You know it very well. He was also known as the Charles Louis or Louis Charles. He was also known as Charles Louis. Affectionately, he was also called the Louis XVII too. But he did not have such right, he did not have such opportunity to sit on the throne, as because earlier he was also guillotined with his father in the year of 1793 along with his mother Mary Antoinette. You know it very well. So for that reason he could not sit on the throne, but he was Louis XVII. So when Louis XVII, he had just missed the opportunity or the privilege to sit on the French throne. Instead of that, his uncle, it means the brother of Louis XVI, he was Louis XVIII, he sat on the throne in the year of 1815, and by implementing or imposing, by provoking the act of legitimacy, he got the means his right back in his hand, and he sat over there, as because in the Vienna note, in the Vienna conference of 1815, it was clearly stated that only the monarchs and their descendants will just get the opportunity to sit on the throne in the different countries of the world. So that's why Louis XVIII was installed over there. No Louis XVII was there. This is the fact. Louis XVIII was not a very bad person. He knew everything. He had witnessed what was happened with his own brother Louis XVI and all others and the family members. So that's why he was very much concerned about his post. He had just sat over there. He had just sat in the throne of the French administration, doing compromise in the despotism as well as in the nationalism. So he was not a very despotic ruler, whereas you cannot just call him that he was very liberal person. So he had just followed the path, means the middle path. He had just followed over there. He knew it very well that if he could just run a very savage dynasty, a very savage suppression or the oppression over the common peoples, his position could be just withdrawn. He could be just removed from his existing position. Moreover, he could be guillotined. He knew it very well. And another time he knew it very well that the reactionaries in the country, those who had opposed the French Revolution, if they come to the forefront, if they come to the confront with Louis XVIII, his post can be also just gone. It can be just also waned. For that reason, he had just followed the middle path. But when he sat on the throne, he had just dramatically changed the situation and the environment of the French society. He had given some liberties, some equalities amongst the common people. He did not deprive. He was not a very conservative type of person. As because Metternich, Prince Metternich, the Chancellor of Austria, he had just determined, he had expected that this person will be very much conservative, as because the act of conservatism, the Vienna leaders, they were very much conservatives at the time. I have already mentioned you, but still it was expected that when Louis XVIII, he will sit on the throne, he will be very much conservative and he will work exactly what was the instruction, means what was the instructions and the guidelines that were just given in the Vienna note or in the Vienna Congress. But Louis XVIII himself was not a very bad person, just like Louis XVI and 15. So that's why he sought to think that few fundamental rights should be just given to the common peoples. But it could not be happened, as because the reactionaries at the time, those who had opposed tooth and nail of the French Revolution. This time they also there, and they had started agitating against Louis XVIII. They clearly stated that the common people should not be given any kind of privilege or the opportunity. No privilege, he had just provided children. I mean, Louis XVIII did not provide any kind of privilege. Yes, obviously he had just given the few opportunities to the common peoples, but he was not very much interested to just give the privilege to the common peoples. But still, he had just come to the confront or the forefront of the reactionaries. The reactionaries, they wanted to just remove. They wanted to just remodel the French administration. They were not very much happy yet. So after the death of his cousin Luc de Berry, and finally when Louis XVIII, he abandoned the liberalism, or the liberal kind of government became despotic once again. Now in the year of 1824, when Louis XVIII, he died, he expired, he passed away, then his brother Charles X, he sat on the throne. When Charles X, he sat on the throne, he was very despotic. Eventually, gradually, he had also appointed or recruited a person or a Polignac minister. He was also very much despotic at the time. Now, what did this person, Polignac, he do? First of all, when he just got his position, when he became the the minister, one of the most important minister, this Polignac started to just muzzling the press and their freedom. He just took away the liberty and all these things, liberalism, everything from the common peoples. It means he was very much diehard of the monarchical government. He wanted to just restore the power and prestige of the monarchs in his country. For that reason, what did he do? Let's have a look. The first and foremost thing is that the Polignac, he wanted to just restore the lost glory and the prestige of the king. It means Charles X should just run the despotic government in his country. Number two, he had muzzled, he had suppressed or oppressed. Charles X had just suppressed or just muzzled the censorship, means muzzled the rights to publish any news in front of the common peoples. Means the press censorship at the time, it became very much rigid. The rigidity was there. No press was allowed to write with their free hands, so that the facts, the incidents could be just revealed easily. That was not just given. Number three, earlier by implementing the act of universal adult franchise. What is meant by the universal adult franchise? It's a kind of act by which the mature peoples, those who were just 21 plus at the time, they could just cast their valuable votes towards choosing the members of the parliament or the leaders. It was also just curbed down, means implementing the voting rights to choose their own leaders. It was just also curbed down, as because the voting rights, the voting system, it became very much limited during that time. In few extent, in a very small extent, the voting right was given. Obviously, those who were the very rich citizens of France at the time, they were only given the rights to choose their own leaders and to just cast their valuable votes. This is a fact. So the voting right was just curbed down, and the privileges or all the opportunities that were just earlier given by Louis XVIII, that were also just taken away from the hands of the common people, and the press censorship became very much rigid at the time. These all were there. And fundamentally and gradually, what has happened, as because the common people, they just came into with this reactionary government and the reactionary principles, the common peoples, they sought to think that another time the revolution should be just going on. So for that reason, when the revolution, it just broke out in the year of 1830, that in the month of July, that's why this revolution came to be known as the July Revolution of 1830. As because Polignac, as well as the monarch or the king of France at the time, obviously he was Charles X, they had just wanted to restore their old practices, the old regime or the ancient regime in France. So that's why now the revolutionaries, they had started to agitate against all these suppression or oppression, and finally in the month of July the revolution broke out, and that obviously came to be known as the July Revolution of 1830. Why it's the July Revolution, children? I have already told you. Don't just forget that as because in the month of July the revolution broke out. So that's why this incident, this revolt came to be known as the July Revolution of 1830. So finally, when Charles X, he had just abdicated, he just fled away to England when the revolution broke out, as because the soldiers of the French army or the French administrator, they had just barricaded over there in the city, in the capital city of France. Obviously, it was Paris, but they could not just sustain, they could not just survive so long, as because the common peoples, they had already wedded or tasted the revolution. They knew that how to just fight, how to just fight back with the soldiers. So that's why they were not very much frightened this time. They were just showing their courage and all these things, and finally they had just fought over they had just gone over there and they fought with the soldiers, and the soldiers this time they had just died. Means they could not just sustain for a long span, for a long period of time. After the abdication of Charles X, the next king of France, he was Louis Philippe. Louis Philippe was also a very good person, as because from the earlier instances or the examples he had just witnessed, that if I become very much rigid, if I just run the despotic type of government, if I just only believe some rigid policies, principles, guidelines, anything can be happened. I can be just executed. I can be removed from my prestige, from my designation. So that's why he was, for the very first time at the initial phase when he sat on the throne of the French country, he was really, literally, he was a very liberal person. He had just given so many rights back, he had just returned so many rights and so many opportunities back to the common people, just like he had just repealed the Press Censorship Act, by which it was clearly stated by the French government that now onwards, during the reign of Louis Philippe, the newspapers could just write anything but on the basis of truth. So this time also, children, you have just come to know that the press censorship became very much flexible at the time amid all this rigidity. Number two, the voting rights was also given, as because to choose the leaders or the representatives of the parliament, it was very much important, and for that reason the common peoples had also played a very crucial role or a very pivotal role. So that's why the right was also just given to them to choose their own leaders. And finally, what has happened, in some extent, few liberties, equalities and fraternities were also given. It means the common peoples, they sought to think that the person is not very bad yet, the king Louis Philippe is not very bad yet. But the intention of Louis Philippe was not a very bad yet, but still, however, within a very short span of time, means he had just sat on the throne in the year of it was in the year of 1830, and what has happened, within a very short span of time, the administration was going so smoothly at the time. But what has happened, as because the peoples or the common peoples, they sought to think that Louis Philippe is also not a very good person. He should just give more liberties to us. Actually, children, I'm just telling you what has happened. They did not want to see that France should be just governed by a monarch or a king. Instead of the monarchical government, instead of a particular monarch, France should be governed on the basis of the republic. The republican government should be there. A perfect republic should be there, for where the common peoples, they will choose their own leaders who will sit on the throne, and he will be just directed on the concern of the or the consent of the common peoples. He will just talk what the common people say. He will just see what the common peoples will see, just like that. But this was beyond imagination, this was beyond of their expectation. So that's why it could not have been possible during that time, as because it was in the mid of the 19th century, and during that period we cannot think that instead of the monarchical government, instead of the monarchs, the republican government can be just formed over there. So these are the facts. Now, how did the French Revolution, means the second French Revolution or the February Revolution break out? I'm just coming to this point shortly. But before that, I just promised you to tell that what were the consequences or the echoes of the July Revolution. I will tell you. Echoes of the July Revolution means I will just tell you one by one. Just don't forget the points. Point number one: Charles X, he was abdicated. He was forced to abdicate. He fled away. Where? I told you, he fled away to Britain. as because in Britain also during that time the monarchical government existed, and for that reason he told that the Britain is a secure place. Britain is a very safe place, it can be for him, so that's why he had just fled over there. Number two, the spark of this revolution, it means the means July revolution, that was just means an enlightened movement, I can say. This spark had been just sparked out, had been just spread out in different countries of Europe. In Russia, in Prussia, in Russia, for example, I'm just telling you, in Russia, what has happened? The common students or the young generations or the young youths from poles, from different poles, they had started a strong agitation against the Tsar government, as because Tsar Nicholas I, he was the existing, he was the contemporary, he was the then Tsar of Russia. Tsar means the prime minister, just like the chancellor of Austria, he was Prince Metternich. So Tsar, he was the prime minister of Russia during that time, and being enlightened, being inspired from the July Revolution of 1830, the common students or the young generation or the youths of Russia, they had just resorted, they had just outburst in a rebellion, in a revolt, but that was savagely, that was just ruthlessly suppressed by the Tsar's government. Tsar Nicholas I, he had single-handedly had just suppressed, muzzled the revolt. Number two, though the revolt became unsuccessful, as because monarch was also there, the monarchical government should not be just abandoned, it should not be just dethroned. But finally what has happened in different countries, just like Germany, Italy and different countries, the common peoples, they become very much concerned about their own rights. They sort to think that what in the French Revolution the outcome has been just broke out. The common peoples, they have means started to think that if we are united, if we can think in a different way, we can just fight back against this kind of oppression or the suppression. For that reason, in different countries, I have already mentioned, I have just given already the examples, just like Italy, Germany, and for what in the within a very short span of time, Germany and Italy will be just reorganized. Germany and Italy will be reorganized, and the means reconstitutional works will be just done over there. Germany will be reorganized, and Italy also. Now let's come to the point in Britain. What has happened in the Britain? In Britain also, I have already told you that the monarchical government was there, and the monarchs or the kings, they sought to think that we should just give some means remedies or the opportunities to the common peoples, otherwise it can be very much difficult for us to just run the government. Anytime the rebellion or the revolt can just take place, and for that reason they were very much frightened. This is the reason only in the year of 1832 the British Parliament had enacted and adopted a different plan. They had just first, they had issued a plan for the citizens or the common people, so that they could just get the liberty back in their hands. So these all are the consequences of, or the echoes or the impacts. If the question comes in your question paper that what were the causes, what were the echoes, what were the importances or the consequences of the July Revolution of 1830, you may just write, you may just go through this point, these following points that I have just already told you. So come back to the point. So after the abdication of Charles X, Louis Philippe, he sat on the throne, and Louis Philippe, he by his charismatic nature, he became very much popular, but within a very short span of time the popularity went, his popularity had just gone. The common peoples and the during that time, means those who were the worshipper of the revolution, they sought to think the revolution should be just gone in a vast extension, it should be just gone in a different way. So that's why they sought to think that the king or the monarch, means Louis Philippe, should be just abdicated from his position. Now Louis Philippe should be just dethroned from his position. During that time, Louis Philippe, when he came to know that his popularity was no longer be there with the, he did not have any sympathy from the common peoples, he sort of think that now only one way is with me, I can just put the pressure upon the common citizens or the people so that they can just support me, they can obey me. So for that reason, at his later life in the year of 1847-48, just means around that years, he became very much despotic. Previously he had just given so many opportunities to the common peoples, even he also had just given the rights back to the different chambers. Chambers refers to different type of chambers: executive, judiciary, and legislative. So executive and means executive and judiciary departments and the legislative departments also just got their rights back. But finally, when he had just his popularity just went, at the time he sought to think that now I have to just muzzle the, I have to just suppress all the revolts and the revolutions and the rebellions or the upsurge in my country. So for that reason he had appointed, just like Charleston, he also had appointed his prime minister, means one of his minister, his name was Guizot. Guizot, he was very much suppressive, and finally when he tried to suppress, when he tried to just muzzle the press, on the press he had just taken the means the rights of the press. The press could not just write anything by their own, whether it was means false or true, that was not the cup of tea of Guizot. But Guizot had taken all these rights back from the press. It means a rigid press censorship was already just given over. Even forming or establishing of different kinds of political associations or political organizations were disbanded. The French people during that time, the later for 1847, the French people were not allowed to just form, to just emerge a political association or political organization. It was absolutely disbanded for them. For that reason, what has happened? For these kind of suppressive measurements, the common peoples, they just went for a long revolution. They sought to think another time we have to just bring back our revolution in our country, and they were very much determined for doing so. And for that reason, as because political association, forming political associations and political organizations was absolutely prohibited and disbanded during that time. For that reason, most of the times when the general ceremony or any social ceremony was going on, the common peoples, they just talked one another. They used to just, they were having a discussion or a gossips with one another. Just like that, in French, the banquets played a very vital role. In the French Revolution also, I have told what are the banquets. Banquet is a kind of restaurant. Banquets were kind of big hotels where in a single table, so many people, they could just sit over there for their dinner, lunch, and supper. They could just sit over there to discuss the ongoing political issues and the conflicts and all these things. So once it is said to have that when such kind of meeting was to be held on 22nd of Feb, means was to be held in a Hotel de Ville. The name of the hotel, it was Hotel de Ville, or the famous hotels or the banquets of France during that time. And so many the worshippers of the revolutionaries, it means the revolutionaries, they sort of thing, they had just gathered over there to discuss on the ongoing situation of France, to just resort another revolution in France. During that time, the French government, the government of Louis Philippe, especially those were appointed by Guizot, they had just resorted over there, and the meeting was absolutely disbanded. It was just massacred. For that reason, in the year of 1848, on 22nd of February, it was on 22nd of February 1848 when the common peoples, they just outburst in a rebellion or a revolution, and that came to be known as the famous February Revolution of 1848. And henceforth, this revolution, as because the revolution, it just broke out in the month of February, as because the revolution, it just broke out and took place in the month of February, that's why the revolution came to be known as the February Revolution of 1848. I'm just going to repeat one more time, children. In 1830, the July Revolution broke out. In 1848, the February Revolution broke out, and the date was 22nd of February for February Revolution. As because in the previous revolution we have seen in the month of July the revolution broke out, that's why it was renamed after July Revolution of 1830. Now in the month of February the revolution broke out or occurred, that's why it came to be known as the February Revolution of 1848. Okay, now the fact is that the last point I told you, I just assumed to tell you, I became determined to tell you that what was the relation and Raja Ram Mohan Roy with the July Revolution of 1830. Actually, what has happened, children, during that time, before the outbreak of the revolution, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, you know it very well that who was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was one of the first and one of the most and foremost reformers of Calcutta during that time, from Bengal presidency. Okay, so he went to Britain, And before coming back to his own country or the Indian subcontinent, certainly he went to Paris, the capital city of France at the time, where he just met with whom? He just met with Louis Philippe during that time, and they were having a dinner with. They were having a dinner. They were having a lots of gossips and all these things, as because Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he did not like means the British very much in a different way. Though he had just like he had liked the British administration and the British system, on the educational policies that they wanted to just preach over here, but still, as because they were the colonial government, so that's why he just went over there, and they were having a great meeting with Louis Philippe during that time. And when he just means he also met a person who is known as Thomas More. You know, children, if you just read the English literature regularly, you can just know about the person. He was a Thomas More. Thomas More was very important and prominent poet of France during that time. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he was also having the good luck to just meet with him, and finally he came back to the Indian subcontinent. So this was the fact. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he had our dine means he had our dinner with Louis Philippe at the time. This was the thing, means July Revolution, and that person means July Revolution and Raja Ram Mohan Roy. This was the fact. Okay, so for today we have just discussed up to this. Again, saying, children, if you are having any doubt, any question, any queries regarding today's lesson, today's teaching, you can just go to the comment section, just ask me over there. I can just give you the feedback, or I will just get back to you shortly. Okay, if you're new in my channel, so just go to the comment subscribe section, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and customize all, so that you can just get all the notifications when the videos will be just periodically uploaded. Till then, bye bye, children, and next day I'll just come with a new topic, and the topic gonna be very interesting topic for you, as because the Bismarck blood and iron policy I will discuss in my next video. Bismarck's blood and iron policy is equally important, just like Metternich system. So in this chapter, two questions are very important and prominent. One is the Metternich system, and number two, this is Bismarck's blood and iron policy. Means from these two different questions, there's a big probability or chance to just come a single question. So that's why this is my recommendation. Just go through for these, and means before uploading this video, I will just again tell, means lots of important points I will just go to discuss. I will just go for a discussion with you. Till then, stay safe, stay at your home, and I hope we'll just see you soon.